the shadowed.
It started innocently enough. I noticed a shadow out of the corner of my eye as I was brushing my teeth one morning. Dismissing it as a trick of the light, I went about my day, the fleeting moment forgotten. However, as days turned into weeks, the shadow persisted. It wasn't always there, but it would show up at the oddest of times. When I was driving home late at night as I watched TV, or when I was alone in my office. It never did anything. It was just there, lurking in my peripheral vision. Every time I tried to focus on it, it would vanish. One night, I was jolted awake by a feeling of being watched. My room was drenched in darkness, but I could see the faint outline of the shadow. This time, it didn't disappear when I looked at it. Instead, it seemed to draw closer, growing taller and more defined. Terrified, I reached for the bedside lamp. As light flooded the room, the shadow retreated and vanished. That morning, I made an appointment with an eye doctor, thinking maybe it was some visual issue. The doctor found nothing wrong with my eyes. It's probably just stress, he suggested. But I wasn't convinced. The shadow grew bolder. I would catch it moving closer, its form slowly becoming more defined, almost human, but not quite right. Its arms were too long, fingers ending in sharp points. Its legs were crooked, and its head slightly tilted. Then, one evening as I was preparing dinner, I heard a whisper, barely audible. "Why?" it hissed. I whipped around, my heart racing. The room was empty. Determined to rid myself of this menace, I decided to confront it. I sat in my dimly lit living room, waiting. Hours passed, and just as I was about to give up, it appeared. "I know you're there," I called out. It remained silent, but slowly, it started inching towards me. The air grew cold. Pictures on the wall tilted, and the lights flickered. "Answer me," I demanded. Suddenly, a flood of memories hit me. I was back in my childhood home. I saw myself as a child, playing with my younger brother, Tom. We were playing hide and seek. Tom hid inside a closet, and I, wanting to scare him, locked it from outside, thinking I'd release him in a few seconds. But I was called downstairs by my mother, and I completely forgot about Tom. Hours later, we found him unconscious. He had suffocated. Tears streamed down my face. How could I have suppressed such a traumatic memory? Was this shadow a manifestation of my guilt? The shadow now stood right in front of me. It whispered again, "Why?" "I'm so sorry, Tom," I sobbed. "I never meant to hurt you." For what felt like an eternity, the shadow just stared, and then slowly it reached out, touching my face with its cold, pointed fingers. The pain was sharp and brief. It stepped back, the room's temperature returning to normal. Days turned into weeks, and the shadow never returned. But every night, I'd wake up with a new cut on my body. It was as if the shadow, or perhaps Tom's memory, was reminding me of the pain I'd caused. Haunted by the past and the ever-appearing cuts, I decided to seek help. I began seeing a therapist. Slowly, I unraveled the suppressed trauma and guilt. She believed the shadow was a manifestation of my deep-seated remorse. Months of therapy helped me process the loss and guilt. I visited Tom's grave, speaking to him, asking for forgiveness. The cuts eventually stopped appearing. The weight of the guilt lessened, replaced with a sense of acceptance and sorrow. It's been years since I last saw the shadow, but I'll never forget it. Some nights, when the world is quiet, I think I hear a whisper or feel a cold breeze, but I no longer fear it. Instead, I whisper back, "I'm sorry, Tom," hoping wherever he is, he hears me.